Indiana Dunes Tourism, located between Chicago and South Bend in northwest Indiana, is a proud supporter of Irish Illustrated. Extend your Notre Dame visit with a trip to the nation's newest national park. Visit IndianaDunes.com.
Notre Dame struggles out of the gate offensively and defensively, but finally gets their act together, scoring 31 straight points as Notre Dame pulls away from Stanford. 45-24 is the final. The Fighting Irish finished 10-2 on the regular season. We'll be talking more about their postseason opportunities, but 3 10-win seasons in a row. Urban Meyer says it doesn't mean a whole lot, and I understand his perspective, but from Notre Dame's perspective, they really struggled here tonight and then pulled it all together and did what they should have done.
Yeah, I thought Clark Lee's defense took over the game. There's forced 6 straight punts, 7 out of 8 possessions, and in that span, Notre Dame scored those 31 points. Eventually they got Cole Kmet going. Chase Claypool, big playmaker down the field. You figured there were points to be scored once the rain kind of subsided and the wind died down, and that's what happened. And kind of a compliment I want to give to Braden Lenzy, because although he was kind of the cherry on top today, having his speed in the lineup on the jet sweeps, it's their most effective running big plays. If you don't have that on the edges, I think it makes Jones and Armstrong less successful inside, and Tony Jones was able to grind out about 5 first downs, a couple on third down. They don't have a great running game, but it was just enough today to complement the passing game.
Notre Dame's defense gives up 17 points in the first 20 minutes and then just 7 points over the final 40 minutes or so. But the turning point was Isaiah Foskey, and they saved him for this game more so for his ability at defensive end, moving out Agudeji inside. But his block punt, where I don't even know if he really felt like he had an opportunity to block it. He just kind of threw a paw down there. And that was a huge turning point for Notre Dame.
Well, it set up the most important touchdown of the game to get Notre Dame back into it, and then it was special teams again. John Shannon recovering a muff punt. They kind of put the game out of the reach as Notre Dame went down, kicked a field goal, and then followed it up with another touchdown. And you don't often say, I think there was 2 games this year where, wow, the special teams really seized control and helped Notre Dame in the game. It's been the defense all year long, and I thought Pete Sampson's question about what is your offensive identity, Kelly mentioned they could do anything every once in a while. The offensive identity is they're a big play offense with Chase Claypool and Cole Kmet, and then some other things complement it.
He mentioned that they can run when they need to run or want to run, and that's not.
Stanford in the second half.
Yeah, I mean that's not really true. But your point about Braden Lenzy is very accurate. I mean that's today's game.
Yeah.
Along with the quarterback running. Although Ian Book didn't do a lot of that, but he had the big scramble in the second half that really got them out of the doldrums offensively as they started the second half. And when they scored on their third possession, it wasn't a ball game anymore. Ian Book 17 for 30, 255 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. He now has 33 touchdown passes on the season and just 6 interceptions. He's not great. He's not a Heisman candidate. He's not one of the best quarterbacks in the country, but he's Notre Dame's best quarterback, and that's a big reason why they're 10-2.
Yeah, I think the way he started, he might not have finished that way last year, or not last year, at the beginning of this season, when they would get down, they would kind of scuffle the rest of the way. I mean, he made the plays when he needed to as well. Brian Kelly mentioned that third down, backed up to the goal line, deep cross to Braden Lenzy, eventually drove down and scored a touchdown after that. It was a throw he would not have made earlier in the year, and I think everybody watching this can agree. It was the type where he stood in, threw to a spot, and they have an emerging player in Lenzy. You mentioned that's what college football is today. Watching Lenzy run down to the 1-yard line where he could have scored on a jet sweep, he just looks different than the rest of Notre Dame's players, and they need that to complement Claypool and Kmet, the big bodies.
Notre Dame is not going to go to the Orange Bowl. They need some serious help to get to the Citrus Bowl. Probably Georgia, Wisconsin wins, and that's pretty unlikely as well. So it's probably Camping World Bowl. We'll talk about this more as that time approaches. As we're doing this right now, Oklahoma State is playing with Oklahoma. It would make that matchup a lot more attractive if the Cowboys could win. But we'll talk about that and more. But from here in Stanford Stadium, it's Notre Dame 45, Stanford 24.